Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com. And I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show.
Hey, gang. A bit of behind the scenes you don't really need to know, and probably most people won't care, but it's just part of my quirky nature to sometimes overshare. Laughing out loud for the transcript at myself again. This show is actually kind of bass-ass. It is a quasi-part 2 of a loosely tied together, semi-relating and corresponding with each other 3-part series from last week, Issue Never Is the Issue, and next week's Let Them Keep Pushing. I'm checking my notes. Generational shift occurring. My apologies. Forgot the title of next week. But I'm actually recording this week's show after having recorded next week's show. So trying to remember how I am tying these 3 things all together to relate. At any rate, and I probably should have that printed on a shirt now that I've really made it a bad habit of saying that all the time for sure now to poke fun at myself. Maybe on X I should temporarily change my Twitter handle to at any rate as an inside joke for the listeners of this show. And again, thank you. As I've said early on in the podcast, the opening, I know based on listen notes how many umpteen bazillion different podcasts, let alone then all of them recording multiple episodes. So quadzillion available episodes for you to listen to. Thank you for tuning into this informational broadcast, because this isn't about me. This is about the information. And the don't shoot the messenger, right? There are a lot of people who like to take pot shots at the messenger. I'm just providing you the information. Please, by all means, as Reagan says, trust, or used to say, RIP, trust but verify. Please verify the information I'm giving you, the evidenced facts, the logic, reason, and common sense to ferret it all out, that it indeed does make sense and matches with reality. It's not just some unicorn fart fantasy delusion like the leftists are often under. It's about the information, not me. Remove me from it. Nothing to do with me. Whether it be any other host, it's all about the information. But at any rate, laughing at myself again. Today, the middle episode of the quasi-loosely put-together series, Left Continued Violence. Again, the issue is never the issue. It's always any excuse for them to protest or disrupt or get violent. Any excuse, again, back to last week. The issue is never the issue. Part of what's going on now, and it'll be something else next month or next couple months from now, anything they can use as an excuse for cultural Marxist attacks on Western culture. It's Israel and the Jewish people today relating as the Gaza thing as an excuse to somehow blame America as the problem. That's what it's about, undermining America, the left violence. And there's a meme I often share. Instagram made me take down a meme that I was talking about something, and oh, your image lacks context. Well, I showed 4 images of leftists inciting violence, direct quotes, not a misquote, not a spin, them exactly in their own words. There was no context needed beyond their exact words. It's just that Instagram, now that we're getting into the 2024 election season, want their preferred narratives. So anything that doesn't fit their spin, they will claim needs clarification or context. So, of course, I took it down and reposted the exact same post again with a different image. This time that says it shows John Wilkes Booth shooting Lincoln at Ford Theater. Same exact thing. Dealing with leftist violence. 200 years of it. Promoting segregation, separation, and violence. The KKK violence, the Antifa violence today. It's all the same. It never went away. It's, again, the issue is never the issue. Any excuse to try to undermine Western culture and especially the USA. But that new image is John Wilkes Booth shooting Lincoln, and I reworded the top saying, okay, Meta, Instagram, fascist book, refute that John Wilkes Booth was a Democrat, aiding and abetting, shooting, assassinating Lincoln in cahoots with his Southern Democrat slaveholder allies because they lost the Civil War. Dispute that now. What context is that now somehow lacking or missing? But directly relates to this middle episode of their left-wing violence. Any excuse. Again, it really isn't about Gaza and Israel, but how they can spin it to blame America. It could be a yellow with blue stripes and pink polka dot person in made-up-a-stand land who says something. If the left thinks they can spin it to blame America, blame the West, they will protest about it. They will get violent about it because it's all about wearing you down, trying to get you to give up on the foundations of America. It's about suckering young brains full of mush, as Rush used to say, Rush Limbaugh, not the Brat group this time, because I've made that distinction before when I've said, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Well, that's Rush the Rock group. Every bit is biblically profound, but they're not biblical scholars, that if you indeed don't choose, make choices, let others decide for you, you are their slaves. You have become a useful idiot to those you are allowing to make the choices for you. But again, I've opened another rabbit hole and went down it. But as Rush Limbaugh used to say, young brains full of mush, that they can beat down and indoctrinate with this anti-American crap, anything and every excuse to twist it, distort it, spin it as it's all America's fault. We must destroy America, destroy the nation that has given more people more things than the history of this planet. And as I've talked before, we'll talk about next week, DEI, the most diverse nation on the planet ever in history, the melting pot, e pluribus unum, not cultural appropriation, homage as we honor each other and become a new, unique, diverse, yet come together melting pot nation. And again, the violence and separation and segregation, they're not about inclusion. But I'll go into that more next week because, again, I actually already recorded next week's show. So I don't want to be down that rabbit hole too much. Tune in next week for that part in the part 3. Again, last week, the issue, never the issue. And it always something, anything, whatever, spun as an excuse for this week's the left continued violence, any excuse for them to get violent and protest America and claim we need to tear down America and create some socialist utopia that's never ever happened anywhere on the planet. And if you're a regular listener to this show, you know we've talked about the Bradford Colony and the Commie Mayflower Compact. Failure. They almost all starved to death. You don't have to look to Marx and Shea and Castro and Stalin and Lenin and on and on and on for the failures of communism, socialism. It failed here before Marx ever espoused Marxism. At the Bradford Colony, and Bradford pivoted, instituted private property ownership over collective ownership, because when no one owns anything, no one has any incentive to actually upkeep anything that they own as a collective. More people like Atlas Shrugged getting in the cart and less people to pull the cart. And it's no wonder why then they almost all starved to death, but people fail to learn history. And then tying it all together with let them keep pushing, generational shift occurring. Because studies are showing, indeed, the more left these loons go, the more violent they get, the more idiotic they get about protecting criminals rather than law-abiding citizens. Our younger people in greater and greater numbers are trending rightward. That's why the three of these all tie together. I got into an argument on social media the other day. It's like, why are you talking about, bringing up Obamacare again? All right. Well, the younger folks in this audience, I know, weren't around for those original Obamacare debates and arguments. And I get it. Trump and the GOP Congress did eliminate the mandate, but there's still a whole lot of us that understand we need to get rid of the rest of the roots of Obamacare and destructiveness and how that relates to, someone else brought up, the Nazis. And SDAP, 28 planks of them in today's modern Democrat platform. So if you don't get it yet, the point here is these all interrelate as issues. So the mandate was overturned. We still need to get rid of the rest of Obamacare. Have you not yet heard lately Biden is striving to get illegals on Obamacare free coverage? So that issue hasn't gone away. It's still a modern current issue. These all interconnect and interrelate. It may not be issue number one, but it is still an issue. It's a MAGA issue. It's an America First issue. It is a founding fathers issue. The federal government has no business dealing in private health care. And again, the point about the NSDAP, the Nazis, modern fascocrats, as they call them, socialized medicine as pioneered by the Nazis. Again, these all interconnect and relate. Is nothing whatsoever to do with healthcare. It's about power and control over people. Like I explained this the other day to a younger person. Again, they weren't alive during the Obamacare debates, so they don't understand. And this person, wiser than their years, understands you have to learn from the past so you don't repeat that stupidity. It's about power and control. If you don't toe the deep state elite, not the uniparty, yes, rhinos, CINOs, fascocrats, they're all ruling elite, establishment, insider, deep states, but there are plenty of Republicans like you and I fighting the conservative or ChristiTutionalist battles within the party. There's just not enough of us. We're not winning as many battles as we need to. But there are some in D.C. that are fighting. Again, not enough. We don't need just Trump elected in 2024. We need MAGA all up and down the ticket to the House and Senate so that Trump can get his agenda passed through the legislative process. One man can't do it alone. So these all relate. We're fighting the deep state, not the uniparty, but yes, CINOs and rhinos within the GOP are indeed part of the deep state, but there's one vehicle only, the GOP, that has any chance of us getting a return to our founding fathers. And healthcare control by the federal government is unconstitutional. And finally, to my point about that, as I was explaining to this person the other day, and the light bulb went on over their head, if you don't toe the party line, if the deep staters are controlling your health care, you know what? Your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your son or daughter, your niece or nephew that you care about might need some care. And, we'd really like to help you out, but there's a quid pro quo attached. We'll help you get that care as long as you tone down your rhetoric, speaking out against the deep state and the federal government continued growth.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
fascia federalist versus original intent. It's about power and control, yet some don't get that, and that these all interconnect and relate. Again, it may not be issue number one, but that doesn't mean it is a complete non-issue. We need to roll back the rest of Obamacare and get back to private care. We are about markets and individual responsibilities, not collectivism, communism, federal offering of goodies to people. That's not equal protection as guaranteed by the Constitution. Okay, I apologize. I know, I realize I've rambled a bit. There's been a few rabbit holes that I've gone down, but understand, I say all that to make the point because there are some out there that don't get it. That issue relates to this issue, but with the left, the issue is never the issue, only the revolution and how through cultural Marxism they can undermine America with it. I hope that bigger, broader picture is coming together because some focus on a tree and miss the whole forest for it. That whole bigger picture, how that tree's roots kind of are interconnected with that tree's roots and that tree's roots for the whole forest ecosystem to actually function and those trees to live. These all interconnect. We must chew bubble gum and walk at the same time, if you will. We can't just drop the ball on one issue because that issue over there seems to be the whack-a-mole one getting the most attention now. They want us to go to sleep on some of these issues. That's part of the left tactic here of whatever issue they can twist to get you to focus on. Look at this, shiny object. Don't pay attention to all those other things. Don't fall for it. That's a trick. That's a trap. We all must be smarter than that and be able to multitask. As a former IT guy, obvious word I should have thought to use. Thankfully, it finally came to me. We must multitask. We have to deal in 100 different issues at a time. Yes, we must prioritize, and certain issues are going to be at the top of the priority list that have to be done first. But again, they all interrelate. If we allow the left to break one thing, it also then affects and breaks another, right? Energy independence. We were energy independent under Trump, and the first time in forever, since oil was first discovered in America, and we were an energy exporter. Under Trump, we were an energy exporter, which helps us and everybody else around the world to not be dependent on those places where the energy costs more. And for you leftist environmental tards who claim to pretend to care about the planet, we have another rabbit hole, I understand, but these all interrelate. Do we not get that yet? They all interconnect. We have light, sweet crude here, which burns cleaner, distills cleaner, and we pull it out of our ground and refine it here, which means it's cheaper for us to do that. It means the poor people that the left pretend to care about can afford the energy, unlike being dependent on the foreign oil, which is heavy crude, costs more for us to, one, ship it here from there, and costs more to distill and refine it, burns dirtier. So again, they claim to care about the environment, but their actions demonstrate otherwise. If you care about a cleaner environment, you should want to get the energy locally rather than shipping it across oceans and harming the poor the most that you pretend to care about. So the issue is never the issue, and it's any excuse for the left to get violent over to distract you from other issues. And as we'll go into next week, let them keep pushing. They're exposing themselves. Youth are awakening from the woke stupor indoctrination they've been getting, and these all interrelate. Have I repeated it enough? These issues all interrelate. Nothing exists in a vacuum, as the saying goes, if you will. Think of that. You do one thing, and again, right, the energy independence was destroyed. That hyperinflated the economy, or not the economy. We wish the economy GDP were hyperinflated, but that was one of the initial major blows to causing inflation, because it takes fuel, and your electric trucks aren't going to work. It takes fuel to transport anything anywhere for you to be able to buy it. It raises the cost of goods. Bidenomics. Energy policy broke the economy, and continued overspending, creating fiat currency, running up more deficits, more debt, caused then even further hyperinflation. Trump didn't veto one spending bill in his first term. He needs to be more conservative in that regard his next term and demand, I'm vetoing these spending bills unless if you cut spending. The spending must be cut. And I'm not just talking about reductions in the rate of growth, the baseline budgeting bull, 10% assumption growth every year in the cost, even though GDP doesn't allot for that, even though inflation, even under Biden, doesn't warrant department whatever to get 10% more than they got last year. Defend yourself. As we discussed in Norton v. Shelby, most of these agencies are unconstitutional. And the ones even authorized by Congress unconstitutionally have further overstepped what Congress claimed they were forming them for. The deep state and the left always continues to grow government. They served a purpose at one time, and now they expand their reach, their overreach. So they keep their government paychecks coming. They keep growing the federal government, which means less available in the private sector to make the free markets work. Again, lastly, wrapping it up, these issues all interconnect and interrelate. Just because that issue is not number one on your list doesn't mean that issue isn't still important. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. And again, next week we'll go more into let them keep pushing. Finally, things are indeed getting so bad as we told you they would be getting if we keep letting leftists and the deep state push these things, run up more and more, undermining our society and our economy. It's finally gotten so bad that there may finally be that breaking point. But are we too late to turn it around is the issue. I have hope for the future based on how our youth is moving more rightward and pushing back against the left, pushing. Thank you. See you again next week. Take care. God bless.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff. No fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.